Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the ESA studio. It's gonna be me, Bozamax, together with Pubble. Nice to see you this evening. How are you doing?
Hello, hello. I'm good. Good. We're still experiencing pretty nice weather in the UK. Don't know how long
Okay.
it'll last, but making the most of it.
Oh, that's nice to hear. I mean, like the UK isn't too well known for its good weather, so like I'm very happy
Yeah.
for you. I mean, here back in the Netherlands, the weather has been stable, like nothing too crazy, but at the same time, it's not very warm either. It's like about 10 degrees. So it's a bit cold for April, but at least it's dry, so we don't have too much to complain about. Something else to think about for now is the match that we're having today. It's actually quite a big one. It's Entropy Gaming, last season's big winner, versus Villains. Villains also has been doing quite well as well. Let me actually just quickly bring up Wikipedia here, which is my favorite source of information. If we actually look at Villains, they haven't lost a single match as far as I am concerned. No, they haven't lost a single match so far. So they're basically just doing as good as Minions, who's already in the upper bracket finals. But they just have, of course, played one match more, which was played on last Monday. Villains could go for the same routes if they also win this match again today against Entropy Gaming. They will be joining Minions in the upper bracket finals, with also 9 matches in total won, which is like the absolute perfect way to go. So it's going to be a big one, but also, of course, Entropy, like I already said, last season's big grand finalist and the winner, the champion of season 4 of ESA. And yeah, could be a very big match today.
Yeah, absolutely. And the big thing, winner of this, I believe, is guaranteed the cash prize. So third
True.
place if you win this minimum. And cash is king, so that's what all these teams are really here for. So
Mhm.
it's a very important match, this.
True, it's certainly a big match because, like, I can quickly bring up the bracket right here. Like, as you can see, Entropy Gaming versus Villain. That's a match that we're seeing today. The winner will be going to the upper bracket final, and indeed, the upper bracket final, whoever qualifies for that one is guaranteed of being in the top 3. Because the top 3, that's where the money is for ESA. I can quickly bring up the upper for the prize pool as well here on Wikipedia. Actually, the number 3 team. So whoever loses the upper bracket final and loses the upper bracket final and loses the lower bracket final afterwards will at least still go home with 110 euros. If you end up bringing qualifying for the grand final but losing that one, you'll win 220 euros. And if you end up winning the grand final, which is on the 14th of May, you'll win a total of 770 euros, which is a beautiful amount of money. And that's what these teams are currently fighting for. If either of these two teams ends up losing today, they will be sent to the lower bracket, where currently Nightwolves is waiting for either of these two teams to lose. While on the lower side of the lower brackets, there's already multiple. Am I saying this correct? Oh, this bracket wasn't updated fully. Excuse me. Sorry. Of
Ends
course,
a
Team
match.
Black against versus Penta. That match was completed, and that one was like first was on a 1-1, and then couldn't be resumed due to some server issues. But Penta ended up winning the final map with an 8-7 score, and therefore has been proceeding towards the lower bracket round 3. And therefore is now waiting in the lower bracket round 3. Will be playing against Nigels Esports. So Minions is currently waiting there in the lower bracket quarterfinals. In the lower parts, like as you can see, like the M1 parts, that's where Minions is waiting, and today's loser will be waiting in the upper part of the lower brackets quarterfinals. So excuse me for not fully updating the bracket yet. That's a little issue right there, but hopefully you still understand what we're talking about here. So yeah,
And I think it's just criminal we don't get to see that Villa match. 8-7 to Penta. What a way to finish off that series. It's
yeah.
unfortunate that, outside circumstances meant we couldn't
Mhm.
see that because that must have been
Yeah.
a banger.
Yeah, it was actually you and me casting the match.
Hmm.
Both you and me casted the first 2 maps after we went to the third map, which is Villa, and then Penta ended up winning that first round. After which we went to the second round, and unfortunately, Penta kind of breached like a rule. It wasn't fully clear in the rules, but it was like kind of
Mm.
like described as you cannot perform certain actions which are unfair. And in the end, the ESA board ruled that indeed the action Penta performed by standing inside of a window wasn't legitimate, and therefore the round need to be replayed. But then unfortunately the server of
Yeah.
Ubisoft gave up on us, and that way the match couldn't be played like right after that rehost. But today of course we have a big match coming up, like we said, Entropy versus Villains. Like always, we do a Twitter prediction to see what the community is expecting of this match. So let's just see what the Twitter community has been expecting of this match right here. I'm also quickly checking how many people voted, but what we can see right now is that wait, I'm sorry, I actually closed the numbers
60-40
already.
to Entropy.
Yeah, 60 versus 40%.
I think that's pretty that's quite expected. You know, villains they came out sort of on top earlier on, but what you
Mm-hmm.
see with these championship teams is when it comes down to crunch time, when it really matters, these teams really show up. So although villains did have that better group stage, they got that bye to the second round of upper bracket. I
Mm-hmm.
still think I favor Entropy here because that
Mm-hmm.
experience, that long term winning, that long term success they've seen,
Yeah.
I think that's really going to play a part here.
Yeah, I do think like Entropy hasn't been successful as they have been in the previous season, but that also might have to do with just other teams getting better in general.
Hmm.
Like Entropy, it's mostly still the same lineup as we saw from them from the previous season, so that's actually, in my opinion, a good thing. As like the longer you're together, the better you'll get together, and like yeah, like just the better you perform as a team. Well, Villas is kind of new to us. Like there might be some teams that we know, like some names that we know. It's actually a mixed team as well. So there's PlayStation names and Xbox names. It's one of those few mixed teams, which is
Hmm.
a very interesting thing. But it might just be the less experienced team in this case. So even though technically they have been doing better than Entropy, it might indeed be Entropy being the stronger team here. And that's exactly what the community is expecting as well. Well, with the match coming up in about 2 minutes, let's just quickly jump into this sorry, that's not what I was supposed to be showing to you. Excuse
Spoilers.
me. I mean, I'm not even sure. Is it a spoiler though? Because no, I'm actually not sure if it's a spoiler. But what I was about to say, let's just jump into this map ban so we can actually see which maps are going to be played for today, and then we can hopefully jump into this match very soon. So let's just bring up these statistics here, or like at least the information that was provided to me. So it turns out that Villains has been the one to start the map bans, and the first map that they're banning is Border. Nothing too surprising. I mean, we did like something we haven't talked too much about yet so far, but we did do like a little survey around the teams to see like get some interesting information. And one of those things that we asked is which is your least favorite map to be playing on. And for Villains, this was Border. So for that reason, it's kind of understandable that they will ban this one as the first one. And you can almost guess it for the second map ban that's coming from Entropy. It's also their least favorite map to be playing on. And this is Skyscraper.
Yeah, we're seeing these comfort bands coming out. Border, it's a map that plays quite differently to the ones in the pool, so it's understandable. Sky as well kind of tiptoes into that situation. It's not quite the same as your typical, your Oregon, your Clubhouse. But we're seeing Theme and Bank taken out as well. Slightly more like played maps here. Bank, a lot of teams do like it. And now we head on to these picks. Chalet first picked by Villains, and then that Clubhouse we did briefly see earlier. And the decider, we're going to Oregon, the sort of bread and butter of Siege, a map any team can play. So this is looking like a really good series if we do get to that map 3.
It would certainly be a very good one. Like, yeah, like that's something we tend to see. Like, Oregon is really like the cider map. Once again, I need to point out there's like still a little bug here with map band that we haven't been able to quite figure out too well. But we're actually going to start on Chalet. We're going to Clubhouse after, and we're going to the Oregon as a third map. It's like a little issue. It has to do with actually Villain starting the map bands instead of Entropy, was technically like Team A, Team Blue. That's kind of causing the issue here. But yeah, we'll be starting on Chalet, where it will be Entropy on the defense, Villains on the attack, and then after that we will be heading to Clubhouse, where it will be Entropy on the attack and Villains on the defense. And as far as I know, yeah, it's already time. The teams are pretty much ready to go. So let me just get the final things ready here, and then we can actually jump into this map fairly soon from now.
Yeah, and with Chalet, I think it's going to be a tale of the attacks. It's one of those few maps that really is a attacker favored, similar to the Border that was banned out immediately. So you want to be setting a good pace if you're starting on that attacking side. I believe it is Villains starting on that side. Potentially a bit of a misplay from Entropy if they got picked and they chose defense, because Villains, they pick the map and they start on that like traditionally favored side. You know, they could just run away with it if Entropy don't lock in those early defenses.
Yeah. Yeah, and as the map is now loading in, we're actually going to head to Chalet, the French Alps, as Uncooked always likes to point out. He really likes to talk about the background information of these maps, and through him, I have also been learning a lot of those things. So yeah, Chalet, the first map of today, where we'll be heading to, and as the map loads in, we'll now be going to the operator bands and see which operators are going to be banned. The first one is coming out from Team Blue, which is Entropy Gaming, and this will be as traditionally an attacker ban.
And this has surely got to be a Nook ban here, at least from one of these teams. That it's an operator that is already incredibly strong, but on Chalet, there's so many flank routes you can take.
Yeah.
Just increase the potency. But no, we're seeing Osa, Entropy sort of favoring the denial of these executes rather than these early pushes. So now we'll see if villains prove me wrong and don't ban Nook, because that could be a crucial piece of utility for that attack if they get that operator up. That being said, it's Flores down, so we are going sort of more frag-focused in this match. These two slow, methodical, long execute attackers have been taken out of the board, so we're going to be... I think we'll be seeing some quick rounds going at this rate.
Yeah, these are certainly the less traditional bans that we're seeing currently. Flores on the 33 total bans, 28% versus Osa of 14 bans, 12%. After which we're seeing Valkyrie, which is a little bit more common, actually 31 bans, 26%. So still not the most common ones like we're seeing usually. Nook, Jekyll, excuse me. I'm of course talking about Solis. Excuse me, that's the one I was looking for. Solis and Mira. Those are the most common ones, and then also Azami coming out. Still, like they're usually like in the top 5 of these operator bans. But they're just not as common and not as default, which I do appreciate. I mean, this kind of signals a bit more creativity, a bit more thought from these two teams. Because, like, I mean, those 4 operators that I just named, that's basically the Thatcher of last season. Like, you did see the Thatcher getting banned so many times the previous seasons because it was just like he was such a default ban. And yeah, again, I'm just really appreciating the creativity in terms of operator bans from these two teams.
Talking of creativity, we've got the Maestro and the Melusi, 2 operators that have sort of fallen out of favor in recent months. Yeah. Melusi, that speed nerf really hitting her, and Maestro, as we move away from that utility matter of 2 years ago, has not really found a place in these compositions. But Entropy, they've clearly seen something in these operators. They want this long denial with the Melusi, the Frost Mats as well, to cause a bit of extra trouble for this attack. Smoke as well is going to be contributing to that time denial, so... Entropy, they've noticed that this is an aggressive Chalet, and they're trying to respond with these gadgets that stop these fast-paced attacks, because it's, as I said, it's already an attacker-leaning map, so you can't let the attack get away with getting that much map control early. You need something to stop that, and that's presumably what they're going to use these gadgets for.
Yeah, indeed. Also, another fun thing I want to point out, like I said, we did like a little questionnaire for one of the questions that we actually asked as well is which team you're the most most worried for. Entropy actually voted there for Team Misclick. Well, luckily for them, they got eliminated last week. While Team Villains, I'm not sure whether it's a sign of their big ego or something, but they just filled in with a bunch of laughing emojis. So I guess I'm not really scared of anyone, but let's just see how they will be doing today. Like this kind of projects like they should be doing fine today. That they will be showing some great performance today. But let's see whether the ego actually matches their performance and whether they'll be successful today.
And Villains, they're getting this quite quick map control. We see Eternal facing that piano doorway. He chooses to stay a little bit safe. He doesn't want to give away an early pick, but meanwhile, Thermite, with quite a unconventional sight on that weapon there, he's getting that wall open there. This push is a lot quicker than I'd maybe expect with the defensive lineup. The Smoke, perhaps wisely keeping those canisters in pocket, but a first pick goes towards the side of Villains, and that's the Frost down. Not the end of the world. That utility is placed down. Basi gets a lovely kill through that tiny line of sight onto the legs of Kisat, but it still seems like the damage has been done. They've got that control up on top floor. They've taken out Frost, who I presume was playing on that piano position. We saw a shield there, and that gives Villains so much more freedom to sort of maneuver around this execute.
Yeah, with the Slash coming out, he's actually opening up the wall a little bit for Thermite to place his trap inside of the wall, just trying to deny any potential impact coming from the Maestro, who currently still has 2 impacts in his pocket. Just by making those holes, technically the impact has a chance to not reach that breaching charge to hopefully allow or deny the impact track, which in this case wasn't even necessary. But still, the wall has been opened. Both of the 2 walls have been opened, which will certainly increase the chance for the attacking team to be more successful on their attack, and especially since they're nearing that 35-second mark, they need to kind of start hurrying up. Actually, wow, beautiful kill there of Nerd on Yuki. That's the maestro off the board. Also, eternal kill on Koala. Leaving 2 offenders left alive. Smoke, but still 2 smoke canisters in the pockets, and also Wamai was currently playing upstairs, just trying to go for a nasty flank, trying to defend from above as well. But as the Thatcher goes for the defuse here, Smoke throws out his final canister. Anti with a kill there on, getting killed by Internal, leaving Vessi all alone in this 1 versus 4 situation. 4 attackers still left alive in his way. He needs to get the diffuser in time because the time is ticking. There's only 33 seconds left remaining. He gets Nerd, takes him out, 1 versus 3 from here on. The Thatcher is very low, but then still Cobra and Eternal very much full on HP. And as Cobra gets that final kill on the final defender left standing. This round will be going to the attacking team, which is Villains, putting the score on 0-1.
And that was quite an unconventional attack from Villains there. They didn't opt for that full top floor control. They really got that 1 pick on Piano and decided, okay, we can make an attack work now. Then they shifted all that focus onto that kitchen corridor. We saw 2 picks go the way of Villains, and that gave them enough freedom to move into site and get that plant down. And then it was stuck to the smoke base in that 1v4. Nothing he can really do there. So the operator choices from Entropy, perhaps not exactly the best for that situation. The Melusi gadget didn't seem to prove any kind of threat or even proper time wasting for Entropy. They just marched in, got their kills, and it resulted in a round win. We're seeing some of these operators continue over onto this round. The Frost, very highly picked on this map. There's a lot of windows that are kind of required to get into the building, so the mats do take attention off of that. The shield as well allows you to hold those positions. Wamai as well is also quite a default pick here, but we are seeing these roles be shifted around as Vasi, who was once on that smoke, now on that Wamai. We're seeing the Jaeger as well, so that immediately shows that Entropy want to bunker down, presumably on Library above site, because that is one of these power positions we see on Chalet, with that mirror as well. So Entropy maybe going for sort of a more heads-up defense here. They're giving themselves gadgets that will give them advantages in these gunfights, specifically the mirror windows, and they don't want to get dislodged from these positions. That being said, we saw Villains expertly dispose of those positions in last round with minimal resistance, so it's going to be up to the players of Entropy to not die so early on, and Cassie, he's on for a very early gunfight, chooses to just move away. Quite wise, Eternal 2-0-0 at the moment, and a great first round, and he's marching up with a frightening pace, straight through bathroom, drone at his feet. He's got the intel. And once again, Entropy are just sort of letting Villains get a lot of map control for relatively little, and Cobra gets that first pick onto Hasty, 0-2 now. Not the worst start, but still not really providing that much value. That being said, the gadget has been put down. You know, he's Jaeger. You can afford to get those early deaths to be in those entry engagements, but it's so much map control yet again, taken by Villains for practically free, and a pick as well on top of that.
Yeah, indeed. And as we now hit the 1-minute 40-second mark, there's still a lot of time for the attacking team to get further control. But as they have only got control of the northern side of the map, there's still a lot of work to do. They still have this very, very difficult part to take control over, which is the library stairs hallway. The library hallway, which is a very difficult situation to take care of, especially with this deployable shield being played with the Frost right behind it, possibly various catchers to deny any projectiles being thrown. But the good thing for the attacking team is that they managed to take out another attacker, which in this case was the Wamai, who's now been taken care of, and also with some flashbangs being thrown, the Frost is forced to retreat, and even then another explosive comes out to take out the deployable shield. So the position is finally turned into a much more vulnerable area to play in, which will certainly help the attacking team to take further control. Even Yana getting the first attempt there to take control of this area, and I believe every single defender has been falling back towards the ground floor right now, which gives full control to this team once they find out that the defenders have retreated. However, only 40 seconds remaining, so they need to be very careful with the time. This time will start to run out very soon, and they need to be very careful with it.
Absolutely, with only 30 seconds left, we've seen Nerd go for what seemed like a long rotate. He takes a bit of damage, was it as well taken down by Yuki, and this defense is finally waking up. 2v3 on the side of Entropy. Yuki doesn't see the player on the stairs. I'm not sure if that was a down or if they just didn't see each other. No, Cobra and Yuki pass each other like ships in the night. Eternal has been hogmatted, and Keysat nearly met a similar fate. It's still that 2 versus 3 we were talking about. Basically no time. NT gets a kill. Finally, Eternal is picked up, but it's all for too late. They're trapped behind a barricade. Players either side of that room, and that's a defensive win for Entropy.
It was indeed a very massive win for Entropy. Indeed, one thing we didn't really get to see too much on stream was one of the players of Entropy flanking from the basement. I believe it was the Frost who was coming from downstairs, taking out the Sophia, who was one of those, and just taking over the stair control in the advantage of the defending team. So very good round of the defending team. Also Frost Trap really helping out. And then also, I believe it was the smoke. No, the mute still playing downstairs. A beautiful headshot through that hatch. I believe it was. I believe it was the smoke.
I believe it was mute through the bar hatch.
Yeah,
great
it was a
kill,
beautiful,
because that's such a difficult weapon to get those tight angles with.
yeah, certainly, and even up to the point, it was still a 3 versus 5 situation. Just getting the first attacker off the board, that's just so helpful for the defending team. Finally, things going in their favor after they just lost 2 members in a row. So it was a great thing for them as well. So great comeback from Entropy right there, bringing this map to a 1-1 score. After we'll now be heading to the third bomb site that we haven't seen so far, which is the Snowmobile Garage and Wine Cellar.
And I think I want to point out, even though Villains lost that round, for these past 2 rounds, I really like their use of that Thatcher. They aren't just using it to open those walls, they're using it to disable those Jaeger ADSs, those Wamai magnets, and it makes it so much easier to dislodge those defenders. So even though they kind of fumbled the execute, I don't want to be too mean, it wasn't a massive man advantage, but it was still kind of a fumble. But even so, that use of the Thatcher, and it's an operator we rarely see because so many teams historically are just used to not playing with it. Even though he is not banned that much nowadays, teams have just figured out other ways to get those walls open, to get these positions cleared. But Villains are just choosing the easy approach. There's nothing wrong with that. They stick Watson on that Thatcher, and even though he's not found the kills, he's getting value through that just insane amount of map control that he can get for the team.
Yeah, that's very much true. Like also, like we saw, like earlier, there was the Frost still playing on top of those reading stairs, and usually people just throw tons of flashbangs to just deal with those ADSs or one my discs or both even, and just one well-placed Thatcher EMP could just technically do all of it at once. Just one projectile needed, one throw needed, which is so successful, and that's something not many teams even like attempt to do these days. It's just become such a basic thing to just work without Thatcher. So indeed, what you're saying is very much a good thing to point out, and I'm very happy to see them being playing the Thatcher here.
Yeah, and we're seeing Villains again take a lot of map control fairly early. They've got this whole ground floor to the south side basically taken. Entropy, however, Vasi gets that opening kill with the shotgun on the mute. Another engagement as well. Hazy's taken down. It's finally evened out. I say finally, it was a very quick engagement between those 2 gunfights. And still health advantage towards Entropy. We've seen Nerd very low, but they've got map control. They've got plenty of time to formulate and execute here. I don't want Villains to try and rush this because they have so much time, and now Vasi taken so low on that blue corridor, and he's a critical player in this defense. If they lose blue, that is the round practically over. It forces the remaining defenders to go for these hero plays. So basically really has to just play for time, play for his life there, while the other defenders are stuck in quite a difficult situation. No one here can really afford to die. They're all holding these very powerful positions. NT looks to be going for a rotate through the hatch, maybe to try and catch the attackers off guard, because this is seeming like a very snowmobile-focused execute.
It very much seems so, and with all defenders currently playing back on side, the Jaeger was still playing offside for a very long time. Oh, Eternal with a beautiful kill there on Yuki, which was the Melusi playing on side. One less defender for them to worry about, which is certainly going to make things much easier. Also, the smoke currently already run through all of the smoke canisters. But I'm not going for Flank. He's currently inside of Wine Center. Fights 1 fights 2 fights 3. He takes up every single last defender in one go just by a beautiful flank and wins the round here for his team. Team Villains taking 1 more round and putting the score on 1-2.
Yeah, and once again, it's kind of a case of Villains are fumbling this execute. They get this early control, they get this early damage, they even get not an opening pick, but an immediate trade onto one of these roamers. But then they kind of just... Wait, no, I'm so sorry. I don't know, it must be the hate. Villains won that round. I'm terribly sorry. Entropy, okay, Entropy, too aggressive. They have this map control early on, but they kind of give it away and they want to retake incredibly early. We saw Aruni foregoing that long line of sight despite them having the DMR.
Yeah.
But then they immediately re-peak when they just don't need to. Like, I saw the idea with Entia on that Jaeger, dropping the hatch, going for this quite late flank, but they're just not holding these more important angles to begin with, and that really pays for. They pay for that when Nerd just drops down onto the site, kills 3 people, not contested at all.
I was very surprised by that as well. Like, how can someone just drop a hatch, which is like dropping a hatch, which is so vulnerable? How can someone drop a hatch and get a 3K like that?
And you can kind of excuse the Vasi, the player on blue, because he was so low, he doesn't want to risk any engagement unless he really has to on that position. But the other players, especially the player in Connector, who just clearly didn't hear it, was too tunnel vision trying to get through that hatch. It's kind of an inexcusable fumble in that round because it was looking like a pretty solid defense. Sure, they had the main breach open, but it's very easy to get that breach open. It's still much harder to actually get an execute on that basement site because just all the lines of sight that hold on towards that breach. But nevertheless, we see Villains make it work with quite a risky hero play from Nerd.
Yeah, indeed, a hero play. That's the right way to call it. Right now, the first minute has expired, so they're actually still trying to find a way inside of the building. I mean, I don't think they have got any control so far. They just have been able to drone out lots of things, just being able to get lots of information, which is hopefully going to be very useful because the time is starting to tick down a bit. And as Vessi actually gets the first kill, the beautiful headshot there on Kisat, taking out the Yana, one of those operators you don't want to really lose on, as she's a great entry fragger. Also very good on scouting for information with her holograms, and then also having 2 nades in the pocket. It's just one of those operators you don't want to lose very early on. The Frost, however, also loses her life right there. She did already place her utility assumingly, so that's not too big of a deal, but still it's one less player to be playing with, which brings things to 4 versus 4.
What's it as well doubles down, but another trade. We're seeing these teams go blow for blow. I was going to compliment Eternal. He's having a great match so far. 4-0. Cobra as well, 2-0. 2 flawless players still on the side of Villains, and they're getting this control yet again incredibly early. We've seen this pace just not be stopped by the defense for 3 rounds now. Eternal takes a bit of damage, and they seem to know that Hasey's down here. Eternal taken out. Flawless run ends there. Cobra can still make it work, though. He can still hang on to that 0 deaths count. He's pushing Hasey on that Mozzie. He needs to get rid of this Roma because that will massively free up the execute. But he whiffs the shot! Hasey gets the kill. Cobra taken down. That's Diffuser. That's your hard breach. And Nerd now left in a 1v3. He tries to go for the hero play, but it just doesn't work out. And it just leaves Villains in a practically unwinnable round. Koala swings with the shotgun and Nerd taken down.
Yeah, I'm just questioning why the Sledge just didn't go downstairs to join his teammate to try to get rid of the Mozzie. If they really want to get rid of the Mozzie, then just do it together. Like, yes, the Sledge was in a good position. He could easily shut down the Mozzie if he decided to rotate through games. But what if he didn't? Like, in the end, it was his teammate, the Ace, I believe was Cobra, just pushing the Mozzie all alone. And if the Mozzie if the Ace dies because of the Mozzie, then there's no really any proper capability of a refrag. Yes, there's a chance that Mozzie retreats through games and the Sledge will get his kill. But what if he doesn't? Then it's just a waste of time and the Sledge is holding anger for so long. So I would say either decide to go for the kill there or don't. But if you do it together.
And this is an interesting development. Kisat on that Jackal, they've identified that Rome really lost them the round last time. So they want to get at it early. They want to tackle that issue head on quickly. And they managed to do it without that Jackal. And as I say that, they do swap onto that Yana, favoring the more aggressive utility that the frag grenades offer, while still keeping that intel aspect with the Gemini replicators. And Villains were good at clearing out the Roma in round 2. They managed to even round 1, they've been incredibly good at these early aggressive fortes through one side of the building, and that just gives them so much control through this map, because Chalet is a map that is kind of split in 2. As you can see on that library corridor, that really is the part that joins the 2 sides of the map together, and once you get enough control around Piano, you've basically conquered half of that floor. And that's something Villains have identified. They know that about this map. It makes sense. This is their map pick. They know how to attack. They should know how to attack it. But Eternal can't attack through a Capcan trap. He gets taken down. a bit too eager, just jumping in through library. There's no player to meet him, but they don't need to meet him with a gun. They have these improvised explosive devices on the doorway that just take out Eternal, and that's 2 deaths and 0 kills, I believe, or 1 kill in these last two rounds. He was a player that had a pretty hot start, but he's kind of cooling off now.
Yeah, that must have been a double Capcan trap, something like that's like it reduces your chance of walking through a Capcan trap. That's really like a decision that the Capcan needs to make. Either you place multiple on one door and reduce the chance someone walks through it, or when someone actually walks through it, your damage will be like multiplied due to the multiple traps. So it's kind of like a choice you need to make, and then yet the Capcan did make the right choice there. It's a very early pick, a free pick even there on the Ashe, which is certainly going to make things more helpful for them. Currently, attacking team trying to get a control still over the northern side of the map. I think they now have mostly established the control, but it's actually Anti trying to push up, actually getting a kill on Kisat. Meanwhile, Nerd with a kill on Hachi, bringing it to 4 versus 3, but still the control over the library hallway in the hands of the team, blue team. But as the Termite is going to open up the office wall, things will be more difficult for him. Still trying to hold on this hallway.
Yeah, and NC is he has a difficult decision ahead of him. He can play his life here, try and waste as much time as possible, or he can retreat onto site for the execute, and it looks like he wants to play for time here. He knows he's probably not going to survive this round, but Vasi to the rescue, blows up the player of Nerd, just gets rid of that sledge, gets rid of those nades, and that puts NC in a much safer position here. And there's nothing they can really do to flush him out other than take a gunfight. They can flash him, sure, but you can't get a guaranteed kill off that. There's still crossfires here. You still have Yuki playing on this mezzanine, and he's getting incredibly aggressive here. Trying to play the off angle, and there we go. Enti takes that pick, gets the kill. Cobra down. It's a 1 versus 4 for What's It. He whiffs the shots on Enti. The Frost stays alive, and now he's facing down a 2 versus 1. He gets one, can't get the other in piano, and that's another round for the defensive Entropy here.
It's Entropy finally taking the lead, because I don't believe they have been in the lead. No, they haven't. So Entropy finally taking the lead with a 3-2 score, after which now held to the 6th round of this match. The final round where Entropy will be playing as a defending team, and the final round for Villains to play as the attacking team, because after this round things will switch up, as it will be we will see the roll swap happen. So for the final defense, we'll be going to kitchen dining room, a bomb site that we did see one time before.
Attackers need to locate and defuse
again,
bombs.
for the last time, up to Entropy to cover the defense here. Once again, they do bring along the Maestro and the Melusi that we did see before. I believe it's actually mostly similar kind of lineup. I'm not sure whether we did see the Wamai the last time they played here, but I'm just going to go technically for a second attempt. And the last time they, I think for you, they ended up winning this defense.
No, I think they lost it. It was round 1 they played, because Vasi got that great kill onto the feet of, I believe it was Kisat, onto the stairs, but then they just sacrificed all their picks on site. A thing that I'm quite intrigued by on the side of Entropy here is we're not seeing a Warden. Warden is a very in-meta operator at the moment. He has that 1.5, he has a very low recoil, consistent gun, and the gadget is just quite a useful thing for shutting down these executes, especially on dining, where we do tend to see smokes used quite a lot. Clearly, they are relying on Yuki's Maestro cams to fill that void, and Kisat, he just gets caught in the floor there, but nothing he can't escape from. It would be quite tragic if he ended up being stuck there, but he gets out.
Yeah.
But, and I didn't see the Maestro working well last time, because the cameras are stuck, they're stationary, and you can only see through smoke through a Maestro cam if you don't have your gun up. That's a problem that Warden doesn't have. He can just take those gunfights while seeing through it. He is your primary counter to the plant there. But instead they're going for this more sort of passive setup with the intel, with the Maestro cams. And they're relying purely on sort of pings and calls to get these kills, rather than just the straight see and shoot that Warden provides.
Yeah, indeed. And the attacking team, again, going for a southern kind of approach, just trying to get the control of at least study like they didn't do the last time. They just want to get that wall open, to just deny people playing from study, to deny the attack from above. And I think that's what they're going for again. Meanwhile, the first defender falls. That's empty, taken out by, I believe it was the Sledge, I believe it was, Nerd. But at least it's the first defender taken off the board. Nate's coming out from Nerd, trying to find people right below him. But unfortunately, no one gets found yet. Nate not finding any targets. Meanwhile, also Frost trying to deny any people from entering from the bot row, and actually does find Tommy. Just a lucky headshot right there on what's it, who just jumps into his crosshair, and also keeps up with a kill on Yuki, bringing things to a 3 versus 4, taking the picture of the board.
Yeah, I think that was Yuki shot from his own vertical holes. It seemed like Eternal got that map controller up, and Yuki just wasn't given that intel that they'd lost control of the office side, and he paid with his life. It's now a 2v4 Hachi and Koala versus the 4 players of Villains, and they've got plenty of time to make this execute work. They've got a 3-man advantage as Koala gets taken down. Hachi has to drop the hatch, gets one, can't find the second. Kisat gets that kill, and he secures a quite comfortable 3-3 half to the side of Villains. Not maybe the greatest, seeing as we do think that Chalet is quite a heavily attack-favoured map, but 3-3 still isn't a half you should really be sad about.
No, it's like, it's certainly indeed not an ideal one, but 3-3 is still workable. Like, the best you want to get at least 4 points, but 3-3 still provides enough options for the second half of a map. Also, just to talk again about the previous round that we just saw, it kind of felt like a repeat of the previous time that we did see Entropy go for the defense there. Like, also Villains go for the attack there. Like, you're just trying to get control over the office area, or at least denying people from playing there. And after that, just immediately going for the bomb site blow, which is in dining, just trying to go for execute or plans there. Again, it worked very well for Team Villain, just earning that extra point that they needed to bring things to a 3 versus 3, of 3 points. And yeah, now they will be playing as a defending team, Entropy on the attack, and for the first defensive round, we'll be going to Bar Games.
And immediately seeing that warden we spoke about, an operator that is incredibly strong on Chalet because of the prevalence. It's one of the only maps where we still do see just straight smoke pushes, smoke plants. Many maps kind of don't really favor that kind of execute anymore. It's more about getting those picks in sight and then getting the safety to plant the diffuser. But Chalet, we see multiple sites where it is still quite meta to just smoke off a few angles and send in your planter to go in and cover from behind. So Kisat, he's going to be able to deny those pushes as long as he doesn't give away his life early. He potentially was meeting a pretty early gunfight with the player of Enti there on Game's window, but they just miss each other. No damage dealt to either side, and look at this early aggression from Hachi. He's just going in on that gridlock. An operator you wouldn't really expect to be entering like this with their gadget. Specifically, their guns alright, but that speed, the sound they make, they're incredibly loud. You're not going to be catching any defenders by surprise there. So they're really just relying on their gun skill more than anything else. And a beautifully tight angle held just misses the player on Library Stairs. I believe that's like Kisat or Nerd would make the most sense playing there. It looked a bit like a Warden. And we're seeing a lot of pressure put on the library from outside, both through that library corridor and through the library itself.
Yeah, indeed. Attackers mostly coming from the northern side again. We're again seeing also the Thatcher being used to deny certain bits of utility electronics like Jaeger charges, for example, Jaeger ADSs, to deny them and to try to get projectiles towards the board machine, which likely was placed on top of the blue stairs area, like the library stairs. And as Nerd gets his first kill, takes off Vessi, that's the Yana of the board, the first attacker losing her life right there. But then Koala finally, right after equalizing things, bringing things back to a 4 versus 4, taking out Nerd, which is the force of the board, which brings things to a 4 versus 4 situation.
4v3 now, 3v3 again, blow for blow. These teams just can't get a solid advantage, both in man and round count. We see Cobra duck back to slightly. There's now 2 players behind that mirror window and connector. Koala still wary of a flank, but I believe they've got total top floor control now with a minute left. Entropy on good pace here to make this execute work. NC as well, breaking open these holes, but he misses the shots on Cobra. A beautiful kill from the reverse angle, but yet another trade. Koala getting that kill, and now that forces Watson out of his position down below in the basement. He has to come and take these engagements head on to give his team even a chance of winning, but Hachi knows! He drops, he gets the kill, and he seems to know the other player is in connector. The reinforced wall stops the wall bang, but it's Eternal in a 1 versus 2. Hachi and Koala, they can play this slow. They have 24 seconds left, plenty of time. No breaches, but they can afford to regroup, take this as a 2v1. You can't be giving Eternal 1 versus 1 gunfights here, and he might have got a glimpse of that player behind the jukebox through the mirror window, but it seems like they're going for these. Koala gets taken out, but Hachi gets the trade. It looked very grim for but a second there for Entropy, but they get that trade. The trade game has been so good from either team this match.
Yeah, it's certainly a very good attempt from the mirror right there. Just getting the kill and trying to back off, but unfortunately getting wall banged in the process. Very nice attempts. If she would have been able to retreat a little bit better, then she might have been able to win a second gunfight right there. But unfortunately, that was denied to her. So again, that's Entropy back in the lead with a 4-3 score. After which we'll now be heading to the next defensive round for Team Villains. They're going back to the same bomb site, just going for that second attempt. Hopefully with some proper adjustments or just a better execution, this round will be going better for them. They did get very close, but just not close enough. Yeah, they're just hoping for a better rounds right here.
Yeah, it was a well-played defense from Villains there. They were very good at that trade game, as we said. Both teams are just very good at not letting their sort of the other team's advantage get too far ahead. But it really crumbled at the end. We saw Hachi get those unopposed picks onto the player on a WOD set, I believe, on that snowmobile stairs, and that really just compounded the round for them. It won that round for them when it looked to be very close and could have swung either way. It still very much could. We saw Eternal nearly get that 1 versus 2 on the mirror, but the trades were just there. And that's kind of just been the story of this whole match. These teams so disciplined, so good at moving together. But they really learned from that mistake we saw on that the third round where Ace went alone, and no player has really wanted to go alone since then. They've always got their buddy there to just get that trade in case things go wrong, because especially when you're in a man advantage, if you go 1-for-1, that's perfectly good for your side. You can do a lot. You're contributing a lot to that round. Even if you die, you're still keeping that man advantage with your team. You're still going from 5v4 to 4v3 to 3v2, and eventually, just by that math, you will end up with with 1 player alive and 0 players alive on the enemy team.
Yeah, a beautiful play there from Vessi, actually doing incredible amount of damage there on the Jaeger, shooting 2 of his firebolts just like in the corner and towards the hedge, which was the only exit point for the Jaeger. Just doing an incredible amount of damage. Of course, those darts won't be caught by the Jaeger ADS. The only way those can be caught could be by the one by disc. Those apparently weren't placed there yet. And it's just a great way to do lots of damage right there on the Jaeger. Meanwhile, also Vessi can kill on Watson. It's the one Mai off the board as well. One of those operations you don't like to lose early on, as his gadget kind of recharges, gets more utility the longer the round progresses. There's another good pick there for the attacking team, Entropy, bringing things to a 5 versus 4 situation.
Once again, we're seeing the use of the Thatcher here to clear away this position. Hachi this time with the nade, trying to look for a kill. It misses Kisat, but Hachi goes in, takes the initiative, gets shut down, however. Kisat, great reaction time there, just destroying Hachi on that jump in. It really looked like he would get that pick. He took a good advantage of the situation, of the chaos that nade provided, but just shut down by the warden, and this library stairs position is still in control of the defense. That being said, Kisat maybe should have been shut down there. A slight whiff shot from the attack, and he's still incredibly aggressive, incredibly scrappy on this position. Meanwhile, Bassi the Capitao, your main tool for the execute, goes down. Enti, a few whiff shots, but he gets that kill. Position finally cleared, but Nerd is still going to be a problem on this mezzanine position. 45 seconds left, and he retreats into library even more secure, and he gets a kill as well. Nerd is doing incredibly up here. Shut down by Koala, 2 versus 2. 36 seconds left in an all too familiar situation. Low man count on either side with plenty of time for this execute.
Indeed, plenty of time for the execute, still 25 seconds remaining. Attack defenders close or inside the bomb site currently. 1 in mudroom, 1 inside of bar. All the 2 attackers are fighting their way towards the bomb site. Ace still having 1 A shot, beautifully being able to deny the penetrate, which is a very strong place to play in for the defending team. Just by fully denying this place, they can no longer play there. And as then Yuki finds either, like the 2 remaining defenders, takes out either one of them, wins a round for his team. As a round win for Entropy, putting the score on 5-3. And for the first time during this map, we're seeing a team with a 2-point advantage, and that's Entropy with a 5-3 score.
Yeah, and Entropy making great use of their gadgets there. The sledge was able to just cut straight through that north side of the map, get to Piano in this incredibly quick pace, incredibly safely as well. We see the Thatcher being used to disable that position on top library stairs. It was all very good from Entropy. They clearly know this attack well. They know this attack side well. They get these picks even when they're sort of more important operators like the Capitao, like the Sledge later on, are taken out. They still are they show this ability to come straight back into the round. And that's really impressive from Entropy there. They are 5-3 up on that favoured side on Chalet as well. This is looking like it could be quite a not as competitive win as we first thought for the side of Entropy here. They're showing that experience. They're showing that sort of prowess when it comes to the playoffs here. So only 2 more rounds they need to send this to a map 2. It's by no means done yet for Villains, but Entropy sort of looking unstoppable on this attacking side.
Attackers are
Yeah, it's
moving
really Entropy just trying to get at least as close as they can to just reclaiming or like remaining to be the title holder for ESA. Like I already said, they were the season 4, so the previous season champions, and that's of course a title they are very proud to possess of, and that's one they very much likely would love to be remaining to have on them. So yeah, they're certainly doing very well right now. 5-3 score, just going for another attacking round, potentially turning things to the 6-3 score, accomplishing the match point for this first map, for map point I should say. But that's really up to them. They're just going for this another attacking round, already being very aggressive, getting very close to various defenders who are playing on side of the bomb side, and NT already being extremely close to potentially get this first opening pick for him and his team.
Yeah, and NT in a great position here to hold this cutoff. He does look away, and I believe that allowed Cobra, gave him just enough time to slink away back towards this bathroom, but the breach is open now. Office cannot be played anymore, and it looks like they've seen Piano is clear. NT should be able to dislodge Cobra here with this nade, if not kill him. Instead, choosing to get rid of the Banshee and pushing incredibly close. Cobra, he has no idea. NT gets a free kill, and it allows him to get into Office. They know that ADS is there. This intel game has been great from Entropy, but it's kind of the complete opposite for the side of Villains. Cobra should not have been has had his back turned there, but Nerd does even things out, gets rid of that buck, but still, Entropy have so much control on this top floor. It's going to be incredibly difficult for Villains to withstand this execute when it comes, and Koala, he just compounds those problems, gets another kill onto Nerd. That's the frost down. Still 2 defenders that you wouldn't mind losing early on. They've got their utility down. That Warden and the Maestro are your key parts of the defense, but a man being killed is still a man down. It's still not a great ideal situation, and it just gives Entropy so much freedom here. They don't need to worry about potential flanks anymore because the defenders just don't have the man count. So you can see them quite comfortably getting these vertical angles open. We see the F2 from Twitch holding down these angles. Gridlock as well with that shotgun making even more holes, and now this gives Entropy plenty of time to set up for this execute.
And there's still 40 seconds for Entropy remaining. They also still have the Yana in play, who was excellent at scouting ahead for information. Just finding this water, who's currently playing in turf room. Still has a deployable shield, which is assisting him in holding down his position. But as he gets found by the Twitch, he gets taken out. The Eternal meanwhile with a kill on Yuki, just leaving What's It and in the Eternal left and right in this 3 versus 2. But as Hachi finds What's It, it's all coming down to the Eternal player currently playing in the dining room as the Malusi in 3 versus 1. And yet Hachi, who was very low HP, does find this Malusi, takes him out, and Rin gets another round there for the second team. Entropy putting the score on 6-3, map point for Entropy.
And the pace of Entropy's attacks, it just hasn't been stopped, it hasn't been challenged. We kind of had similar criticisms of Entropy on their defense, but Villains, they're just not putting up enough early pressure. They allowed NT to get so deep into Piano with the free, and Cobra just didn't know he was there. Even though that Banshee was destroyed, you should know there is someone there with a nade who is likely going to be one of those entry operators, the Nook or Yana. So it wasn't a great showing from the Roamers up there. It wasn't a great showing from Cobra particularly. Letting NT get away with a free kill, as we said, on such a vital position. But Villains, they clearly think they've learned from their mistakes. They're going there again. Nearly identical lineup, but the Warden being exchanged for the Solace. I quite like this pick because we haven't seen Entropy relying on the smoke grenades really at all. Yuki has them, but he's never been in a position to use them. So maybe they want to counter this intel early by using the Solace to destroy the drones and make this entry game a lot harder for Entropy. But that being said, Entropy, they kind of haven't really relied on it that much. We've seen them enter the map confidently without a drone at their feet, so it might potentially be the wrong swap, but we'll have to wait and see. The P90 is still quite a popular gun that a lot of people are starting to see the value in ever since the introduction of Solace. Solace is an incredibly strong operator for this intel. So maybe we could see Keysat using that gadget to really dictate to Villains the kind of push that Entropy are going for and allow them to properly respond to it.
Yeah, the question is whether Andy is aware of the position of this Frost Trap. He just hopped in, but no, he didn't actually see it. He hopped in with the Yana hologram and didn't check the window right below it was the Frost Trap place. And unfortunately, after this Vassy hops in, thinks it's safe, but it's not. There is no player, indeed, but there's a Frost Trap. And that does quite a bit of damage right there. Vassy getting injured, getting revived, and only having 20 HP remaining, which is quite a big blow there, if you ask me. Which will certainly make it a bit more complicated if he ends up in a future gunfight.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those like cardinal sins. There's going to be heated emotions in the voice chat, I'm sure, after that. Vassy gets taken so low because of the carelessness of Enti. That being said, he's still alive. He can still use those gadgets. He can still use the flashes, the skeleton key. Buck is a very strong operator, so him being alive is still perfectly good for Entropy. And once again, they're allowed to get surprisingly aggressive here. They've got control of Library Corridor, and they're just peeking onto Library. Cobra opting to play this very passively behind that sort of wall partition. But Kisad, an excellent kill into Hachi there through the bathroom window. I believe that's the top performing player of Entropy, taken down, and map control finally denied from Entropy by villains. Two more of these frost mats.
Well, luckily they were spotted out this time by Hachi. The question is whether he did actually point out those frost traps to his team. I certainly do expect so. So I don't expect to see any future injuries coming out right here. As the player should be aware. Vassy are being very close to Soldier, actually getting the kill. He's so low in HP, he would have easily lost the gunfight, but he just does get the headshot there, which is a beautiful way to just win this gunfight, as it of course does 100% damage. So that's Kisad of the board, Solo's taken care of. Back to a 4 vs 4, equal man count. Jaeger still playing upstairs, Impy in the room, close to the master bedroom, and as the traps are being thrown out. The question is whether the attacker is actually aware of a position. 3 attackers just getting so close to him, all in his proximity, but not a single one being able to be fully damaged quite a lot. And in the end, he does take him out. And Nerd with a kill on Yuki. And Nerd with another kill, just a double kill. Where is Yuki? Where was he playing? I'm not even sure where he was. I missed it myself. Go out with a kill on Nerd. Relative to 2 versus 2.
We're seeing those trades, the value provided by them. It's allowed Entropy to get back on this even man count. Eternal whips a shotgun shot, but he hits the second one. What's it as well? It looked like a very good attack, then a very poor attack, and they kind of clawed it back at the end, but there's just no chance, no match for the guns of villains on that defensive side when it came down to the execute. Too many heavy losses early on in that round from Entropy, and it finally, I believe that's villains' first defensive win here.
It was indeed. Could you tell me whether Frost was playing? I certainly missed it. Like, she did get a double kill from 2 players who were playing upstairs, but where was Frost?
I think they played in closet and rotated onto the master bed. I think.
Okay. Yeah, I certainly missed it. Hopefully, I can just see it back in the stream, which is open in front of me. Of course, with the 2-minute delay. So hopefully soon I will exactly find out where she was playing. But it was indeed a very beautiful double kill from the Frost, just turning the tides for the team. And just taking care of 2 of the attackers. The 2 attackers who were playing upstairs and like heavily increasing the chances of villains winning that round. And indeed, in the end, did. The 6-4 score, still 2 points advantage there for Entropy. So they're still in a good spot. They're still on that match point, or map point, as we should call it. But at least villains is getting a little bit closer.
We're seeing villains go back to that Solace and the Warden as well this time. They've clearly seen value in both of these operators. They want to bring them forward to defense. Warden they used last time on the bar defense. Didn't exactly work out well, but now with this addition of the Solace, they want to waste more time. They want to really slow the pace of this attack, but again, it just might not work, and I really like the way Entropy are attacking this map. They play it very selflessly. Once they get that opening pick, they will gladly sacrifice their life for that trade. We saw 3 players all swing Cobra last round because they knew one of them was going to get that pick and keep that man advantage in favor. Of course, things crumbled as Nerd really found his footing on that bed. He gets the double kill there from Frost, and that kind of breaks the round for Entropy, but it was still another very good start. And this is looking like an even better start as Enti. He gets dangerously close to sight with shots on Whatsit. Whatsit is taken down, but Cobra responds onto Vassy, and Whatsit, he can still be picked up. He's likely on site, safe place for the defense. So it looks like, yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. And what goes from a trade is now suddenly an unanswered pick from the defense. A very good start for villains to keep them in this map.
Yeah, it was certainly a nice attempt of Entropy there. It could have very much go in their favor. Unfortunately, did just a very unfortunate bit of damage that done on the by Enti, giving away his position and unfortunately, but not being able to capitalize too much of it, and in the end even backfiring as Vestige got taken out. So now it's a 4 versus 5 situation. Attackers kinda have got a huge step back. They need to go for a default kind of clearing strategy. The EP nade comes out, however, does take care of these shields. The effect nade that comes right after, which is very useful, making it very difficult for Akiza to continue to play her. As Hachi gets another nade out, he finds Nerd, takes him out. That's the Frost taken care of, and we're back to 4 versus 4 with almost an equal HP count as well.
Kisa, he's sticking around, and they're going to be relying on NT to spot out this player because they might have well assumed that he's just retreated down to site. He eventually does. He's been cleared out. Yuki now taking that position, and he wins the fight against Kisa. 4 versus 3 for Entropy, 6-4 on the map. They could win this. Eternal in a very high-risk, high-roll position. He rotates back to site, but cut down from a long angle through the games window. Cobra and Watson puts him incredibly low on health, and they know Cobra's position. This is looking nearly unwinnable for the side of Villains. Entropy surely looks off this first map. With Watson's position also exposed, Entropy, surely they win this. They know he's there. Yuki gets the kill. 3 versus 1. All they need to do is play for trades now. Cobra stuck alone inside. He wants to isolate these 1v1s, but Entropy, they're not going to give it him. They push together. They push as 2 men. Hachi swings in, gets the pick, and that's a quite confident first map for the side of Entropy.
And indeed, I believe it's a 7-4 score, if I remember correctly. Yes, it's a 7-4 score there for Entropy. Yeah, almost it seemed like Villains was kind of come with a comeback as they finally won their first defensive side, but that's all they got as Entropy just like reclaimed their win streak on the attack, and therefore won 4 in total, and therefore beating Villains with 7-4 on this first map, which was Chalet. So 7-4 score there in the advantage of Entropy. After which we'll be going towards Clubhouse. But let's just talk a little bit more about Chalet, because of course Chalet was the pick of Villains. So you would kind of expect Villains to do a little bit better, even though 7-4 isn't terrible. You could consider this to be a very close match, but it just wasn't good enough. Like you would hope that they would at least do a little bit better. Yes, Entropy did get the side pick, which did work in their favor, kind of, although they got a free score for the first half. So it was actually very equal then. But it's just really the attack really working in the favor of Entropy right there, which really gave them the points that they needed here. So
yeah, and it's those opening picks that really dictated the round. Villains were just letting those picks slip away, and Entropy, with that incredibly selfless playstyle, were just going for these trades, these 1-for-1s, and they were just mounting up. They led to Entropy getting that 4-1 attacking half, and the attacks were really sort of what sealed the game for Villains as well. Only 3 when it really should be getting 4 if it's their map pick and it's that stronger side on Chalet. You'd really expect a better performance from Villains, and when they go on their defense, it honestly looked even worse. They just couldn't deal with what Entropy was bringing in those attacks. They couldn't. They weren't willing to go for these early engagements. And as silly as this sounds, I kind of didn't like the fact that they were so adamant on holding library stairs when Entropy had shown that they would easily take out that position. You'd maybe want to see that man like just be used somewhere else, be used on a long flank, maybe used on an off angle, but playing that same default position when Entropy clearly knew how to get rid of that position for just virtually no cost at all. An EMP and a single nade is all it took. And you'd want to see maybe a bit more adaptation from the side of Villains.
Yeah, true. It's actually something we saw from both teams. Actually, both Villains and Entropy adapted that attacking strategy, just using the EMP and nade to take care of the position very quickly. And yeah, after the position was taken care of, sometimes the player playing there at least still managed to get 1 kill, but that's about it. Like fairly shortly after, the player either needed to fall back or was taken care of. After the position was just lost, and they didn't really have any further top control. Like indeed, like you say, like if they had someone on flank or just have more manpower towards that like master bedroom side of the building towards the beginning of the round to just hold on that position a little bit longer, just to buy more time for the defense, that could have really worked out for either 2 of the teams. But in the end, yeah, Villains just did a little bit better on the defense. Actually, it was a 3-3 there, but yeah, technically did do a little bit better on the defense compared to Villains there. So yeah, 7-4 score for Villains right there. Clubhouse is going to be the next map. Picked by Entropy, should work in their favor, but it's Villains picking the side, which could also help them out quite a bit. But yeah, what does this map say for us about Clubhouse? I mean, it's Villains doing very well for this first map.
Hmm.
What
Yeah,
does this mean for Clubhouse?
we're gonna need to see villains improve those defenses.
Mhm.
They went 4-1 in their defensive half, and really that probably should have been 4-0 if it wasn't for the heroics of Nerd, I believe, on that Frost. He gets that double kill, which completely shut down the attacking round. But apart from that, they look completely outclassed on those defensive rounds. And obviously, Chalet plays differently to Clubhouse in terms of that side dynamic, but
Mhm.
Clubhouse is another one of those maps that has kind of been creeping in favor of the attack, especially with the right bans. It's actually quite an attacker leaning map. They can use a lot of those windows to get control early on to cut down that wide roam that defensive teams like to bring.
Yeah.
And then they can just start to box the defenders into certain positions and just deal with them incredibly quickly through vertical angles,
Mhm.
through nades, through explosives, through the vast variety of gadgets that the attack have at their disposal now. So we need villains to improve their defenses. We need them to probably get a little bit more aggressive on those defenses to stop those attacking clears early on in their tracks, because that's what really just led to an
Yeah.
abysmal defensive half on Chalet.
Yeah, well, to think about this for the teams, they have got some time because of course we're going to have a little break right here. We'll be back in 4 minutes, and hopefully the teams also have some time to take a little break here, really talk the strategies, prepare for the next map, and hopefully do the best they can. Because of course, both these teams really want to be in the upper bracket finals. So we'll be back in about 4 minutes, and then we'll go, jump into the clubhouse. So grab a drink, grab a snack, go to the toilet. I'll be right back. Bye bye. And welcome back, everyone. We're back after a short break. We just saw the first map being played, which was Chalet 7-4 score in the favor of Entropy, after which we'll now be heading towards Clubhouse, the map picked by Entropy, which is going to be a very interesting one. We'll have Entropy on the attack, and it will be villains on the defense. So, yeah, what are you expecting of this second map?
I think the second map is really going to be decided in that first half. Entropy had a white hot attacking half, that second half of Chalet, coming straight back into attacking Clubhouse. I think if villains don't really put their feet down, Entropy are just going to run away with this map. They look so confident on those attacks, and Clubhouse, it's not even that defender sided of a map, so it still gives Entropy plenty of freedom to find these early rounds. So if villains don't put up a fight quick, it looks very grim for them, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, as most people are also expecting Entropy to actually win this BO3. I mean, both the Twitter prediction and the Twitch prediction both are showing like a favor for Entropy. It's not too big of a difference. I believe it was about 20% difference between the two teams. So not a great favor there for Entropy, but still, it's pretty clear that the community is expecting Entropy to win this. And with a 7-4 score in Chalet, things are certainly starting to look like that. And Clubhouse is really going to decide. Like either it will be like a nice time for villains to make a comeback. We've seen quite a bit of times during these BO3 stages in the playoff stage where teams are able to like completely turn things around in the second map and potentially even win the decider map as well. But yeah, it's really coming down to Clubhouse. If Clubhouse is going to be won by Entropy, of course, they will be proceeding towards the upper bracket finals. But if Villains loses the match, they will not be eliminated yet because there is still a lower bracket waiting for them. But at least they will still have to fight a little bit longer in order to make their way up towards the grand finals. So I believe the teams are as good as ready. We're just waiting for them to join the hand cams, but once they are ready, we can just jump into this second and potential final map for today.
Yeah, and a little reminder, the winner of this match does guarantee themselves part of the cash prize. They guarantee at least third place in the season, which is a perfectly respectable position. And they guarantee themselves a lot less siege played, because once you drop down to that lower bracket, you have to play probably double the amount of matches as the upper bracket, because you've got to fight all these other teams that have dropped down there previously. It's a tough marathon, even from this position, from so far into the bracket that both these teams are. There's still plenty of matches they still have to play in the lower bracket. Plenty of potential maps as well, strats they have to reveal, picks, and weaknesses they have to show to the other teams, that even if they get to that grand final, it could have already spelled their doom if they lose to this match and go down to that lower bracket.
Yeah. Yeah, indeed. Like what both these teams want to be in the grand finals as soon as possible, or at least qualify for that upper bracket final. Because like if you go to the lower bracket, you just have to fight a little longer, as there's just more matches to be played there. I believe even if you work your way all the way up from the upper bracket, the upper bracket has a total of 4 matches, while the lower bracket actually has a total of matches of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 2 matches more to be played in the lower bracket, like in the whole run. Of course, these teams won't need to play the full lower bracket, as they will be like kind of like halfway the lower bracket. They will drop down to the lower bracket quarterfinals, but still, it's 2 extra matches to be played in order to make it. But there's still 2 extra matches to be played in order to make it towards the grand final. So I believe the players are now ready. So let's just quickly jump into this match for today, potentially the final one, but that's going to be
Yeah.
Clubhouse.
And Club, it is going to be a tale of these attacking halves going onto this map because, as we said, Entropy, they just looked so good on their second half of Chalet. They really heated up. They really turned on, like, finally ready for game day, it seemed like. And they didn't, by no means, had a bad defensive half, but they were just on another level. The confidence, the gun skill, the efficiency of those attacks. Villains are just going to have to hope that doesn't bleed over into this map.
No, indeed. So yeah, let's just hope that Villains is being able to make a comeback, because like I would love to see that the side map being played as well, which is going to be Oregon. I love when a BO3, like all 3 maps are being played, even in overtime would be very nice as well. But it's like, again, it's gonna really come down to this map. The first attacker to be banned coming from Team Orange, which in this case is Villains, is the Nuck, a very common operator, one that we even expected to be banned in the previous map as well. But now she's finally coming out, and this could very easily be accompanied by one of the other most banned operators, which would have been the Jackal, but in this case it's the Oza, who's also been banned quite a bit, just like the previous map as well.
Yeah, Entropy, they just don't want to deal with this sort of slow attacking playstyle. They don't want to deal with these difficult retakes that the OSA really proposes. They just want to get rid of the operator because it is a source of frustration for a lot of players, as is Mira. These are 2 operators that just make it incredibly easy to win gunfights. This is an online league, so there is a bit of Peek's advantage just due to the nature of netcode and latency. And OSA and Mira providing these bulletproof windows for the attack and defense give them a massive advantage in those gunfights. And we finish off the ban phase with Valk. Very common ban. Must be second most banned operator on defense in this league, right? I think Solus is first, but Valk is second.
Yeah.
Such a useful gadget. The Black Eyes are really just round-winning gadgets. The intel they provide, it's really high value, and it forces the attack to tailor-make their setup to deal with that by bringing things like the IQ, like the Brava, to really make the most, or to disable or even sort of convert those gadgets. It just heavily restricts the playstyle you can do.
Yeah, just in case people are wondering, I just quickly had to depart the timer as one of the Villains members. It's not in the hands cam yet, so we're just going to quickly make sure the player joins just in time so we can actually have a fair match, and then we can resume these. But yeah, like you said, Mira, the second banned most operator, just right after Solo. Solo's actually getting banned more than double the amount of time as Mira, which is like just ridiculous. 67 times, 67 times. While Mira has been banned 32 times or even 33 times then now, with this map being included as well. So yeah, those are the operator bans. Valkyrie also just joining in, the third most banned defending operator. And those are going to be the map bans here for Clubhouse. So for Clubhouse, we'll be jumping in anytime soon, as the player will be joining hopefully very soon in those hand cams. But the first one of the things we can already see is the first bomb site that's going to be picked here by Villains, and it's going to be Church Arsenal.
Yeah, and the Mozzie immediately gives away that they're going to be going for quite an extended roam here, you'd expect. Mozzie pests are just useful for blocking out those drones. It forces the attackers to spend more time clearing out that top floor, which without something like a Mozzie or a Mute, and they're bringing both of these, they're likely going to be placing those gadgets away from sight on top floor. Because if those gadgets aren't there, it just takes around 20 seconds for one drone to sweep through that top floor and see it's clear. You don't necessarily need to play a Mozzie or a Mute on that top floor if you don't want to risk it. Just the threat that those operators and those gadgets provide is enough to stall a lot of attacking teams and make those executes come a lot later into the round.
Yeah, so as we finally get the go for resuming this match to start finally with this first round, we can finally jump into this
Defenders,
second map for
protect your
today,
bombs from
which
being
was
defused by attackers.
Clubhouse, like we said. So we're starting out here in the basement bomb site, where it's villains on the defense, and question is what kind of defensive setup will they be bringing to us. One of the interesting ones to be pointing out is the Goyo. Goyo, of course, we don't see him as much anymore since the nerf or the rework that we did see some time ago, where he lost his deployable shields and just has these little reinforced canisters instead. So since then we do see him quite a bit less, but still he can be very strong, especially if played correctly. So I'm very excited to see him being played for this round.
Yeah, absolutely. Those Goyo canisters are nothing to really laugh at. That 20 seconds of air denial is
5 seconds
really
to go.
vital for a lot of defensive setups. It is incredibly good at just bleeding down the
Attackers
clock,
are
which is
moving
something
out
that a
to
lot
locate
of
a bomb
attacking
and defuse
teams
it.
and attacking sort of setups can't really deal with this this sort of pressure on the time. So all three operators, the Mozzie, the Mute, and the Goyo, are likely going to result in a very late execute for Entropy, unless they are incredibly efficient on this roam clear. And with them swabbing off that Jackal, it seems like that roam clear has actually got a whole lot slower. That being said, Enti on the Thatcher marches straight in, through bathroom, to that main stairs. He now has a choice. He can either apply pressure early onto main stairs, forego clearing that roam entirely, or he could go up and deal with Nerd head on. But Nerd, he seems to have an idea that he's there. That being said, never mind. A free kill for Enti. A great opening pick onto that Mute. It leaves just Eternal down upstairs. He's as well, actually, in the garage, but his position is known. And with that pick, suddenly this defensive room kind of falls apart. With the intel on these defenders, the Mute and Mozzie find a lot less value because that they no longer need to drone them out once they have that position. That being said, Kisat, they know he's there, but he's still got a great gun. 2 picks onto the Yana and Ash, those 2 entry operators. He leaves Koala scrambling for a trade in Eternal. He has not been challenged upstairs. He drops down into bar, gives away with a sound cue, surely, but NT whiffs the shots, and Eternal just managed to survive with his life. The feed lags a bit. I don't think this is affecting the players, however, so yep, well, I'm unsure if this is affecting the players or if this is just a spectator thing. I'm going to assume it's a spectator thing.
Yeah,
so
I'm
the
not even
players
sure.
are still playing, I think.
I hope so. So I'm quickly going to jump back to Caster Camps here and just hopefully am able to rejoin this match. So let me just quickly see if I'm able to. Yes, it does give me the reconnect option. So let's hope we're just able to rejoin. Let me also quickly inform the players.
I mean, it looked like a very good attack from Entropy, though. They got that early pressure, and you've got to really give your hats off to Enty there because he didn't really have a drone going for him. He just had that confidence. Again, something we were kind of afraid of. That confidence did bleed over into that next round. As we see, poor old Watson in a 1 versus 3 on site. No impacts to his name, just the MP5. Meanwhile, he's staring down 3 full health attackers. That Thatcher, that Buck, that Ace, these are 3 incredibly good guns he's going to have to challenge. And surely Entropy fighting together. They were so good at that in Chalet, getting these trades, these 1-1 engagements. That being said, Yuki does drop alone. It's slightly concerning, but nah, they've got the wraparound onto Long. He gets a good pick onto Enti in fairness, but Yuki shuts him down. Well, a great 3/4 of an attacking round that we saw. I'm going to imagine from the 1v3 we came back to that remaining quarter was just as effective, but a very good start for Entropy.
Yeah, it's just a guess on what exactly happened there during the time that we disconnected from the game, but in the end, it clearly went in the way of Entropy. You can even bring up the scoreboard right here. It's Juki and Enti just doing a real good job for the team, either getting 3 and 2 kills, basically doing the work in terms of kills for the team. So yeah, that was the first round. Even though we missed a little part, it will not be up to villains here to go for another defensive round. We'll just go back to the same bomb site and just go for a second attempt. And like I always like to say, hopefully with the right kind of adjustments or just a better execution, they will be able to be a little bit better here and hopefully win the round as well. So in terms of setup, potentially going to be very similar. However, we don't see the same operator. We don't see the Goyo, for example, which was picked last time. He was kind of wasting time on the top floor, but didn't do too much. The Mozzie, however, was very effective, especially there in the garage catwalk area. And he has been picked again. So we will be putting a close eye on him as well, as he did a very good job in the last round.
Attackers are moving out
Yeah, we're seeing Cobra opting to bring in the Thorn here rather than having the Goyo on side. And Thorn, another operator we don't really see that often. She does bring the shield. She brings those gadgets that aren't really that useful for getting kills, something like a cap can, but they're quite good for intel and also area denial. There's a long fuse, which potentially provides quite a decent amount of stalling in terms of time because the attack just don't want to risk walking anywhere near that gadget while it's going off. That being said, there's no immediate threat, so if an attacker is, say, rushing and decides the Thorn Trap isn't going to do much at all. But that shield is really interesting because it shows that villains are kind of opting away from time denial and instead want to be taking more heads-up gunfights with the use of the shield. That being said, Cobra, he's not even placed the shield down yet. He might not even be concerned with putting that utility down at all. He's just playing this bar position. Slight little rat angle, but they seem to have intel on him that he surely doesn't survive here. He's boxed out from all sides in terms of angles, but there's no pressure from Entropy on that position, so Cobra, he still gets away with it. He's allowed to just linger and bar. Meanwhile, Yuki is marching down that tunnel, but a well-placed Kiba barrier stops his assault, and we're now left in kind of a period of quiet where both these teams, they know where the enemies are. They're very tantalizingly close to each other, but they're just sort of favoring the execute and favoring this sort of time denial and this survival more than these gunfights. We see Cobra not going for that kitchen push, not even concerned with it. He's just holding down bar, and we see Monty just holding down tunnel. Both sides, again, they know where each other are. They know where these pushes are coming from, and they're just waiting for this final execute that is no doubt going to involve a flurry of kills as we enter this final minute.
Yeah, it's going to be a very close one indeed. It's going to be one big bluff bet, and there's only 1 minute and 10 seconds remaining. And not a single bit of damage has been dealt so far. However, as I'm speaking, it's actually the Monty getting damaged quite a bit. Probably some impact or something being thrown there. He's even getting stunned by its own teammate, which is the Ying, throwing her Candelas from the hedge, but actually being able to make the proper entry into the bomb site, finding the mutes, taking him out as well as he's making a rotation towards the bomb site, almost finding a second. No, not quite yet in the end, but in the end it's Koala finishing things off, taking out the Melusi, bringing it to 5 versus 3. However, the Hibana getting in quite a bit of trouble, but does decide to go for the defuse, and Hachi is watching the flank, finds Cobra, who was deciding to go for the flank, takes him out, and brings it to 4. 5 versus 2, close the situation. 2 defenders losing their life, but Hachi taking out Eternal, leaving Kisat all alone in this 3 versus 1 situation. The floor is currently being injured, but still Monty and Hachi on their feet, who should be able to properly deny this plan of defuse very well.
That being said, in terms of guns up, it is a 1 versus 1, and Hachi recognized this. He's playing so smart, so laid back, so relaxed. But Yuki, quite ill-advised revive, he goes for the bait, and now he's managed to lock poor Kisat out of sight. A beautiful 200 IQ play there from Yuki on that Monty, and an incredibly frustrating end to the round for Kisat. But it was a very well-played post-plant from the attacking side of Entropy there.
It certainly was, and if there's one way to kind of break villains apart here from this point, I think this round is very much capable of doing so. I mean, they already lost the previous map and already being on a 2-0, and then losing the second round like this, I mean, it's not going to be a very good thing for the morale of villains, I can imagine. So that's a very strong thing for Entropy to perform. To just kind of like to show, like, hey, we won the first map, we're going to win the second map, and not even like having close rounds like these. Just very strong rounds, very convincing rounds for Entropy. That's not a good thing for villains.
Certainly not. And villains, they've gone back to the drawing board yet again. This time they're coming up with a Vigil, another operator that we just don't see that much anymore. Really probably the most selfish operator in the game. Can't even provide that many rotates. He has the impacts, but he doesn't have any kind of proper like damaging shotgun that, say, Oryx brings. So he really does fit, probably, he does get the award of the most selfish defender in the game with that ability. But he still can find his uses. The area of effect of that gadget is incredibly large, so it certainly provides a bit of ambiguity for the attack as to where he is exactly playing, and that does lead down the timer, and the timer is something that is very important for the defense. That being said, if villains do not win this round again, perhaps the Vigil doesn't work out, they're suddenly staring down 3-0 on Clubhouse defenses. And that is just simply not a good position you want to be in with how just overall defender-sided not only the game is, but still Clubhouse is, you know, at least 50-50. Kisat with a great prediction onto the gym window, tries to get another spray through the vault wall, but he misses the kill there. NT not risking his life, but he drops down very aggressively into construction and gets another one onto Kisat. Cobra trying to get the trade, but NT quite wisely dips out of that and gets that kill, and the intel comes through. This drone game has been beautiful from Entropy.
Yeah, now we actually do see the Vigil being in play. He's currently playing on the center stairs, just trying to go from the flank, finding NT. NT is extremely low. Just one bullet or even like an impact or something would easily take him out. So he needs to be very careful. It could easily be turned into 3 versus 3. But as the Vigil decides to rotate back, not entirely sure why he does. He's going to be alive a little bit longer. So meanwhile, the attackers have taken a little bit of control. The Maverick has been doing the job to partly opening the wall, but not fully yet. I mean, the ace is still in play, so he will certainly make his way towards the wall soon to open up the wall. But as Koala even gets a kill on Eternal, it's the Vigil taking off the board as well. Koala just entering from the other side of the map, just going for a construction push, which is also a very strong one, as he can easily open a wall with his Harbinging utility. It's going to be very difficult for the defending team to play here on side, where Nerd is going to be playing on Garbage, Catwalk, and what's it, the Smoke, currently playing here on the eastern stairs, trying to deny the cash entry.
Nerd in what is typically a very strong position here, but due to the feet holes made by that Maverick, it's actually sort of spelled the end for that team. For his team, he can't really rotate through that without taking a heavily favored gunfight for the attack. That being said, I do think he actually won that. If that was it wasn't the Maverick outside, you still have Yuki holding down that incredibly harsh angle. That means that Nerd essentially cannot rotate out of him. So it puts a lot of pressure on the side of Whatsit, so much pressure that he doesn't know his NT coming up right behind him with the backstab. 1 versus 3, as long as Nerd doesn't get a pick onto the diffuser player, but I'm going to risk it. Koala just tucks himself by the wall. Nerd has to go for a rotate here. She looks the wrong way, taken down by NT, and this is another attacking round for Entropy. And like I said earlier, Entropy looked to be just running away with this map.
Yes, it's certainly Entropy doing even better on this map. They're starting out with 3 rounds in a row, something we didn't really see that much in the previous map, only towards the very end, I believe. So Entropy is certainly starting out very well. And like I said, this isn't working out great for Villains. This is certainly putting a very heavy weight on the shoulders, which is not going to help them win this map. They are in a tough position. They need to win this map. They still won't have a chance to win this match. And starting out with 3-0 is not helping.
And Villains, they're just going to scrap all their plans for those previous 2 sites. They go to Gym, they've not tried to defend this before. This is their opportunity to get that first defensive win, to really stop the momentum that Entropy has built up with these past, well, honestly, 7 attacking rounds across Chalet and the clubhouse here. Aside from 1 attacking round dropped on Chalet due to a heroic play from Nerd, they really just looked unstoppable on this side, no matter what the map is. It's honestly a dire situation for Villains here if this defense doesn't go well, but Gym and Bedroom are one of those sites that has had a sort of increasing defensive win rate as the game has progressed. We've seen this actually be opted as some teams' primary sites here. They do like the way it plays for the defense. It quite is focused on retaking ground and cutting off these window entry points that the attack can go through. So it's still by no means a lost round already. This is a strong site. It's not like they're playing a tertiary site anymore. So Villains could get this win and potentially stop the momentum, but it really doesn't look likely as NT has got a quite aggressive cut-up position early on. He seems to have knowledge of someone below, potentially. No, Nerd. He goes on drone for now. He's in a very critical spot here. He can shut down this attack single-handedly, but Kisat gets aggressive on that hatch, takes out NT, and suddenly a man advantage for Villains, and that prompts Nerd to go up those main stairs and potentially find another one to double down that man advantage.
It's a great start there for Villains, just taking care of the first attacker, which is even a very good attacker, which is the Yana. That's a great pick to start with, which is going to make things a bit easier for them to potentially finally win their first round after losing 3 in a row. Something they can really use up to this moment. But let's see how things will go. Also, one of the interesting things to point out is that Mira is usually an operator that's being picked on this side, but of course she was banned by Team Entropy. For that reason, the Villains don't have the option to pick her, so they will need to do without her, and that's likely why we do see the Azami coming out.
What's taking a very high risk but high reward position in that Gym equipment. As he gets engagement with Nerd, which prompts the rotate down the main stairs. Nerd, he might just go for an incredibly long rotate all the way to red stairs to keep himself safe. You don't really want to be re-engaging on those main stairs. You just want to keep that man advantage because a 4v5 can be so difficult to work around on the side of the attack. Sure, the breach is open on Jacuzzi, but they have comparatively little map control, and this is exactly what Nerd's done. He's got himself to CC. He's being a menace. He's still another body on the side of Villains, and Entropy just don't really know how to deal with this attack. They're trying to get these picks, but every one of their gunfights seems to have failed them. Not a single drop of damage on the side of Villains. That continues as Cobra puts us in a 5 versus 3. What's it taken down in that position? That gives Koala the all-clear entry to the breach, but a one-way angle through Shower Wall shuts him down. Keysat in another engagement. It's all on Yuki now in the effective 1 versus 3. He's so many angles to watch. And Villains, they don't want to let this slip away from them. They're playing very passive here. Likely going to wait for that res or wait for a jump in. That means that Keysat a little bit aggressive, and it pays out. Finally, in a defending win for Villains.
It's about time for Villains to finally start waking up and scoring some points. If they didn't, it would have been a very difficult situation, which it almost seemed unlikely for them to come back from. But I do really think that this fourth round was about the moment that they would start waking up, because otherwise it was pretty much over. So I'm happy that they did it. I'm happy that it's finally 3-1. I'm happy they finally have broken the win streak there of Entropy. And I'm hoping that this provides some further options for them to win further rounds as well, to hopefully bring the score to a bit more even, 3-2 or 4-2 split eventually. So at least Villains, they have made the start. Let's just hope they were able to build further upon this.
The glaring issue with that is they cannot defend Gym and Bedroom again. They have to go for at least one of the 2 sites they've lost, or risk Barring Games. And Barring Games no means a bad site anymore. There are plenty of strategies and setups you can utilize to swing the favor in favor of the defenders. But going back onto this basement site is really quite concerning to me, because Villains, they didn't really have an answer for any of the things Entropy was bringing on those first 2 attacking rounds that they ultimately won against this site. And with a similar setup being used yet again, Eternal swapping onto the Warden this time, so that's the 3rd variation we've seen on these basement defenses. We're going to see if maybe they finally found the answer to this Monty, and the Ying as well has been quite excellently read into here from Eternal, predicting that they're going to just stick with that Ying setup that worked well. But the problem is these opening picks, and if Eternal dies early through a vertical hole, but I'm saying dying early, Keysat, your Roma down. Potentially another one on that top floor, but if not, that speeds up the pace of this attack massively, including the Monty and the Ying. They are going to be hammering on the doors of this defensive site in no time, and that's exactly what we see. All 4 defenders now stuck on site, 2 minutes and 20 for the attackers to play with. They could do so much in this time, get so many things open, get so many things cleared, use these drones that maybe if Keysat survived, they would have much less time to actually be on, but now, with the entire map virtually clear, Entropy in a great position to win this attacking round.
Yeah, with the hatches just being open, no contesting whatsoever. What they could have potentially contested things a little bit with his 2 impact nades, but that would only have slowed down times just a slight bit. So yeah, but the attackers now getting full control. They will be able to open up hatches all they need, open up walls as much as need. And Snur does, however, get a kill there on NT. That's the Flores taken care of, who potentially still did have some of his drones in his pockets. And this brings things back to a 4 versus 4. However, that doesn't deny the fact that the attackers have a significant kind of control. But as Snur still gets a 2nd kill, that's Vessi taken care of. That's also the Ying lost, which is of high significance for the attacking team, which will certainly impact their attacking strategy.
Yeah, Nerd just holding down that tunnel, the real bastion of that location. He shuts down 2 and helps assist on the kill on Yuki, leaving Koala and Hachi alone in this 5 versus 2. 5 versus 4, make it 2 versus 4. I got there in the end. 2 versus 3, 2 versus 2. As I've been waffling my words, Koala has been doing work. Eternal and What's It Left. Health advantage slightly in favor of Entropy as Hachi marches in. He's got 2 angles to look for. Retreats around while Koala is holding this cutoff from the hatch. And suddenly, a great defensive round from Villains looks to be slipping away from them as these picks have mounted in favor of Entropy. Now in this even man count with slightly more health, Eternal's position is known, and a great pick from Hachi and Koala. What a bounce back from the side of Entropy!
That was a 4-2 situation, or 2-4 situation in the advantage of Villains, after which they started to play very, very aggressively, which was absolutely unnecessary in the end, leading to 2 people dying unnecessarily. And kind of giving away their chances, which is very unfortunate to see. I would have loved to see Villains take another round, as they started out so well. Such an aggressive tunnel hold, taking up player by player. 3 people in total lost their lives there, and I just wish they just played a bit more passively after that, and just made sure they would have won the round, because I would have put them on a 3-2 score. But instead, they're now on a 4 versus 1 score, with only 1 round left to play as a defending team.
really got to give it to Nerd there. A heroic play on that tunnel with that SMG-11. It's a gun where you can't really get that many kills with it with the limited magazine capacity and the high rate of fire. So finding 2 with that Monty staring you down, so it's such a high-pressure scenario, but Nerd really made it work. The thing that really concerns me here is they've gone down to basement again, and the only reason they looked close to winning that basement site to begin with is because of how well Nerd played. You can't rely on a player getting 3 kills in a tunnel with a Monty looking at him. So going here again, not even testing bar and storage on what has been quite a woeful defensive half is really concerning to me, because it looks like Entropy just have this site on lockdown. This is going to be potentially their 4th time winning on it. You'd want to see a bit of a change up from Villains after just being hammered in this half.
Yeah, indeed. And also with Jekyll being brought along this time, it's going to be very difficult for the defending team to play on a roam. I believe currently Mossy might just be the only one who's kind of playing offside at the moment, even though it's just the central stair. So he's going to be in a very good position very soon. However, he did pre-place C4, which did do a significant bit of damage there on Enti. He didn't take him out. However, Enti with the headshot, he has the response, taking out Kisats, taking out Mossy. The only bit of offside defense that the defending team brought along. And even with Oryx playing outside the moment, things are going to be very tricky for the defending team. However, with the C4, they do manage to take out Enti, but I do think that Enti did most of the job already by clearing out the roamers, as that's one of the major jobs for Jekyll.
Yeah, the Jackal gadget's so effective there because all he needs to do is look at those stairs and see there's no footprints leading up there. It immediately gives the game away that this is basically a bunker defense, and that drastically improves the pace of this attack. We see Entropy now on the phase of using their gadgets to clear out utility on the fringes of the site. Hachi nading out that Banshee gadget, the hatches being popped open, Koala on this moto angle holding into sight, Yuki as well. They're just getting so much value from these gadgets, from this very quick roam clear that the Jackal provides. So yeah, even if he does die, he didn't even need to necessarily get the kill on Kisat because he's done his job. True. He's shown that the map is clear. That is a bonus, if anything, killing Kisat, who's been the only really shining light. That and him and Nerd on this map so far. So Kisat going down is quite problematic for villains.
Yes, indeed, a very good thing. And with the 4 versus 4 situation, with just 50 seconds on the clock, things are going to get very bloody very soon. There's an equal man count with just kind of maybe the advantage is going to protect us here, as they have got quite a bit of control and have created very verticals and opened many hatches. As Yuki then get the kill, Hachi gets 2 kills. It's all coming down to Cobra in this 4 versus 1 situation. Gets a kill on Hachi. It's a 3 versus 1 right now, but his position is known. He's in a tough position. Gets found by Yuki, gets taken out, and that's another round win there for Entropy, the attacking team, adding another points to the score, and therefore with a 5-1 score heading into the roll stop, where Entropy will now be playing as the defending team and it will be Villains as the attacking team.
And Entropy, really, they just carried on those strengths of the attacks from Chalet. Another essentially flawless attacking half that was only stopped by the heroics of a single player. Villains just didn't know how to answer them, and now Entropy get to play on arguably the much more comfortable side, the defense.
Yeah, surely.
Because they can just dictate the pace of these rounds, or they can dictate exactly where the attacks go. They choose the sites. They have the favored sort of gunfight situations. They can hold angles rather than having to swing them. They have the clock on their side, which is a big factor that makes the defense so much more comfortable. So now it's a real Herculean task in front of Villains to even get this to overtime, let alone win it.
Yeah, and also don't forget the fact that Entropy already has 5 points, so just 1 point away from map and series points for winning this match right here. And then also the defense heavily potentially working in their favor, as Clubhouse tends to be 54% defensive favorite versus 45% attack favorite. So the defense could potentially work even further in the advantage of Entropy, and this match could very much be over soon. 2 rounds is the minimum that Entropy needs here, but let's see how they will do, if they will be able to end it very quickly.
The use of the castle there, something we don't see that often. This is a kind of a modified SSG room here, which is a setup we haven't really seen that much in recent years. Teams opting to just play without the castle barricades blocking the escapes. Teams sort of value playing for time and playing their lives rather than escaping back down the hatch. Because the real strength and the focus and center point of the SSG roam is that moto hatch being pre-opened. It allows the defenders to retreat the site if they need to, if they feel like that would help them in the round. But nowadays, we just see roamers tend to just give up their life and waste as much time as possible. And with Yuki going down, no time has really been wasted by him on that castle. And now Kisat, if he gets through one castle barricade, he has a direct ingress into sight through that bar. It's up to the rest of the entry players now to fill in that void, to really play a little bit more selflessly, go for these hero picks to keep this round in favor of them, because that's such a crucial pick, that roam.
Yeah, indeed it is. There's one of the Romans taken off the board. I'm not quite sure where there's any Roman left standing. I think most of the Romans have kind of fallen back to at least the ground for currently. The Doc is the only one really playing offside, I believe. Yeah, Hachi also has fallen back. Anti currently playing a bar, one of the left key position that they could try to deny the attack from as much as possible. But as he falls back, attackers now have full top control and can start focusing on the bomb side below. With 1 minute and 15 seconds, there is still some time to open up those hatches, open up some walls, and whatever they do. And also the bug to create some verticals to make it even more difficult to play on site. And from here, they can soon put lots of pressure on the players below and make it very difficult to defend their bomb site.
1 minute left, 4 villains on the attack, so it's not all bad for the side of Entropy. That defense has wasted 2/3 of the round, but it's up to execute, and when they're a man down, this gives the attack so much more freedom with these picks. They can just go for trades if need be to get that diffuser down. NT playing quite aggressive on main stairs, goes back to safety. Koala as well. Entropy realize they need to play aggressive to get this man advantage back in their favor. It forces them. That early pick on Yuki forces them to be playing in this more risky manner to keep that pick alive. And NT on that dock, it allows them to really boost up their health for this in preparation for this last execute. Doesn't matter how much health Hashi has, he's not hitting those shots. It's up to Koala and NT 2 versus 3. Kisat on a sliver of health, but Nerd elsewhere has been taken down. Massive health advantage in favor of Entropy. That being said, Koala down. It's the 1 HP Kisat versus NT, and NT wins it. It looked to be a pretty weak defense when that early pick went the way of villains, but Entropy, just like so many rounds before, they bounce back, they get these isolated 1v1 gunfights, and it works wonders.
Yeah, I really think the point that the defending team managed to waste 2/3 of the time available to the attacking team and was able to fall back with still 4 people left standing was just a crucial thing for Entropy here. Like, they just provided just a little bit of time, still enough time technically for the attacking team, but just a little time for them to still work enough on the bomb side, getting those hatches open, getting those floors open, to just make it very difficult to play downstairs. And I think that time advantage really helps the defending team to just go for the gunfight, just deny the proper entry from the attacking team, and really help them to win this round. You even did see, like, for example, like the Yana trying to go downstairs from the blue stairs, not even knowing certainly which for sure which side to check, going in very unfortunate gunfights, even though she managed to win it due to the whiff of the defending player. Those were just the disadvantages the attacking team had at that moment, and yeah, just turned out very well for Entropy. Just winning one more round, a 6-1 match point / map series point for this map here, and they just need to win one more round in the upcoming 5 to win this map. While then Finland still have to win 5 in a row to deny this match point and bring things to overtime.
Yeah, it isn't looking great for villains. There is some good news. Entropy have chosen to go for the CC cash defense quite early on. Perhaps one of the more weaker sites we've seen now in Clubhouse as the meta has sort of developed. Not as nearly as strong a site to many as gym and bedroom, people would say. So there's certainly an opportunity for villains to get another round on the board, but then it's still 4 more attacks. They have to be flawless now, basically, here. And if they let Koala get away with a bandit trick like this, it's going to be... Oh, but he whiffs the nitro throw. He gets one wall secured, but another wall is opened. Despite Koala's best efforts, they will get a breach onto site. But that's the thing with CC Cash. Most teams will be playing that defense with the expectation that the attack get the wall open. And most good teams will be able to win this defense with a breach open on that main wall, because it is just so easy to get that open nowadays, especially with a Thatcher in play. But what's it? On that Thatcher, gets a great pick on a Koala, aggressing perhaps a little bit too early. There's still a player on the Garage Coward that has to be taken out, but Hachi below, meanwhile, taken down by Kisat, 5 versus 3, and suddenly things are looking good for the side of villains. Kisat just playing with that frost mat, nearly walked into it, then tried to knife it. But overall, looking like a good start to the round for the attacking side.
Yeah, it's again the opening kills going in the favor of villains. The question is whether they will be able to benefit from this advantage they just have achieved. Last time they did have the advantage, but weren't able to build further on it, and in the end ended up losing the rounds. Now they have an advantage, but as Yuki finds a kill on What If, the advantage is getting lower. Just it's a 3 versus 3 even as Enti gets a kill on Kisa. It's just back to an even main count. Cobra with a kill on Yuki, however, so back the advantage going to villains. But need to be very careful because they could easily lose it as they have had before.
And it's a risky push for the side of villains here. They have to vault into that wall. I don't believe there's no more ace utility here. They're going to have to go through a vault there, but a peek from Enti results in a kill. 1 versus 2 on the side of Vasi now to keep villains out of the lower bracket, to knock them down to the lower bracket, but Nerd gets that pick. Vasi goes down, and villains, they get their second round. 4 more to go just to bring them to overtime.
Yeah, that's villains adding 1 more point to their count, closing the gap a little bit. But the question is it in time? Like, still, their opponent has 4 more points than they have, and they're just in a very good position. Just feels like a little setback, but it doesn't feel like an actual threat so far. Like, they still have a 4-point advantage, which they could easily turn back into a win, as they still need to only win 1 more round. And they would just go back to CCTV cache, just go for a second attempt, and just by doing things a little bit better, they might be able to win this time. Again, the Bennett is being brought out. Very unfortunate Bennett trick last time, and also very unfortunate C4. Again, by only improving the Bennett a little bit, things could already turn out very differently this time.
But villains, they seem to have read into this. They bring that Zephyr, a real hard counter towards the trick, the concussion blast, to stop Bandit from any interaction he's currently in, which effectively nullifies the Bandit trick. So it potentially is going to go even worse than last round with this updated setup from the side of villains. It wasn't even the attacker repick being used either. They just read into it well. Nerd on that roll. Hopefully he identifies the glaring weakness in this hold. Meanwhile, Vigil, the second time we've seen him this match, I believe. Hachi playing the operator on the basement roam, potentially using that large radius of the gadget to confuse the attack to stall them out a bit, but you can only do so much stalling when there's a great big open hole onto the bomb site that Watson and the hard breach, as well as Nerd on that Zephyr, can really provide here. Koala, he's not going to be able to trick this. That's the harsh, unfortunate truth. With that Zephyr on the board, he cannot trick this unless something miracle goes his way. A concussion comes in, and there we see the wall getting open. Koala has to pull away, and suddenly you could argue that as a pick wasted on the Bandit that could have gone elsewhere.
You could definitely say that. Like, the Ditcher still has 1 EMP in it, however, so if Koala would like, he can still try to deny the construction wall, which is very valuable as well. Like, especially as it's actually easily rotate across construction and open up that wall to make it even more difficult. So that's the one thing that Bennett can still do. But meanwhile, yeah, that one is opened and can no longer be defended. Meanwhile, the attacking team is trying to get further controls already. The Yana playing in stock, trying to find a player. There's one player actually quite far back in bar, trying to deny the stock entry. It's currently the Vigil playing there. He does actually find one of the players, does do quite a bit of damage, but gets damage himself as well, and decides to fall back into pool table. Just wasting the time of the attack team a little bit. But meanwhile, Ash already being inside of construction, finding the Bennett, doing a bit of damage, dodging the C4 that's being thrown at her, and therefore also putting lots of pressure on the defender on site.
We saw Hachi, he's in a very rough spot there. He has to just play for time, play for his life, because the cutoffs they're holding on him through these 2 angles are just incredibly potent. He's not really going to be able to rotate away. He just has to be a nuisance, waste the time of the attackers, give the remainder of his team a little bit more of an edge in this round. And they've only got a minute left for this engagement, this final execute to come in with still total control of that garage catwalk. Villains, they really have to sort of put the pedal to the metal, and with a pick from Enti, that's not what you want to see. That's Keysat down, Nades down, you've still got Nerd below. Cobra as well looks to be rotating towards that lounge area. Enti taken to incredibly low health, but he still has that all-important Rafters position. It looks like all the attacker resources are going to be diverted there, but Hachi goes unnoticed. He gets 2 for his troubles. What's it? Still on drones. 2 versus 4 now. The breach is open. Thatcher and Ace still alive. These are 2 good guns, but they're facing down so many defenders from so many different cross angles. They can't get a single ingress into this site. And Hachi, he maybe overpeaks a little bit too much. He gives away his life, and What's It finds another one onto Yuki. Suddenly the mana advantage evened out. This is similar to the attacks we've seen from Entropy, going down to a poor start, but an excellent recovery. That being said, 10 seconds left. It has to come down to gunfights now with What's It taken down. It's all on Eternal in a 1 versus 2. He doesn't have Diffuser. Case is cold. Vassy swings, shut down 1 versus 1 against Koala, and he wins it! A great 1 versus 2. Great map knowledge from the ace there. Just not even predicting the hole is open. Koala had no idea he rotated into server, and that allows for villains to hang on yet again.
It's such a great last-minute execute from villains there. Just such a smart call from the Thatcher to just go for the kills there, because planting would have practically been impossible. A great guess on where to find the bandits, finally getting the kill, and indeed winning one more round for villains. A 6-3 score, still 3 points behind on their opponent, but they have won 2 rounds in a row. Both of them in attack, so the attack is clearly working better than the defense for villains. And just having this momentum could potentially work further in the favor of villains, which could potentially lead to them winning more and more rounds. Still, Entropy on the map point here, on the match point, series point, but villains clearly getting a bit closer and closer.
It's going to be just such a huge win for villains. It's got to be like a momentum booster there.
Yeah.
A great 1 versus 2. It really just inspires confidence and like this overall just positive vibes in the team, getting a clutch like that. And vibes are so important in shooters. Surely there's mechanical skill, but just team attitudes are incredibly valuable when, especially when you're in these losing situations, to make these comebacks happen. It's vital to have that good attitude, those good vibes that such a great play from Eternal provides.
Yeah, indeed. It just like it's really the momentum that's working in the favor of villains. Also, the morale really going up because of this, and this is something they can really benefit from. Again, they will be playing on the attack, of course. This will be their the 4th attack round, and if they can keep up this momentum, could potentially become a 6-4 even. Currently, a very interesting setup from the defending team. Currently shutting down the bar area, extending this towards the bomb site. Even hatches being opened, bar not even being reinforced. So the defenders are heavily going to focus on the bar area, which will even allow them to easily fall back if need so. Meanwhile, it's Vassy with the first opening kill, finding Diana, taking her out very early on. That's a very unfortunate death there on the side of villains, which is going to kind of impact their attack for the remaining of this round, potentially.
That's great from Vassy, and another pick goes the way of Entropy. Great, I was just going to say, good play from Vassy getting that pick, but realizing his worth as a body and just going back to the site. There's still plenty of room, so Vassy didn't need to over-aggress, and Hachi, he picks up the pace even more, getting that kill. 3 versus 5, it's going to have to be another sort of clutch for villains here with the way this round is going. The man advantage is heavily in favor of Entropy. And if Entropy just go for these trades that they've been so sort of iconic for during this series, then there's just simply no way that villains can win this attack, especially against such a strong, fortified site like the basement. We're going to be expecting to see Entropy moving back towards site now, but Hachi gets a little bit of final aggression out of his system, maybe. He wants to go for this pick before falling back down blue stairs. Nerd being droned in, gets a beautiful pick onto Enti, and he can hold the cutoff onto Hachi on these red stairs. If he gets this kill, man advantage will be evened out, but Nerd thinks better of it. He values his utility. He still has one of those hard breach charges left, so he gets out of there. He doesn't risk the fight. He leaves the defender of Hachi to live another day.
Yeah, indeed, the attackers are just going to focus a little bit more on the bomb side, which is the one that matters. Not focusing too much on those flanks, but in the end, it's the Eternal getting another kill on Koala, evening things out with a 3 versus 3 man count. Now things are back to an equal man count, as I'm saying. 3 versus 3, 35 seconds clock. Still a lot of work for the second team to do, but at least it's back to an equal, which does provide some more options. Ace charge coming out to deny the wall where Vessi is currently playing behind next to the church while being opened up. Vessi therefore forced to relocate himself in potentially a little bit of a less useful area. And as Nerd gets a kill on Hachi. Hachi gets a kill on Nerd. That's a trade with the gun and the C4. Things are back to 2 versus 2. Where What's It finds Vassy. It's all coming down to Yuki. The castle playing in blue could easily deny the Thatcher if he decides to hop in from the door right there. And in the end, he decides to go from the breach. A smart pick in this case, because Yuki cannot find him directly. Does find Eternal, does do quite a bit of damage, but as the diffuser goes down, the timer is not working in his advantage. He will need to find 2. The diffuser is down, is sticking against his favor, and as he finds a kill on What's It, it's all coming down to just 2. Yuki's going for the defuse, could easily be denied, but here's the drop, goes off the defuse, goes for the gun fight, gets damaged quite a bit, but same for Eternal. He's very low in HP, just needs one bullet or one single bit of damage to be taken out. This is going to be very close. Yuki with the shotgun takes out Eternal and has plenty of time to go for the defuse. Wins the round for Team Entropy and puts score on 7-3, which ends the match.
Defenders win.
Great clutch, and what better place for a miracle to occur? He gets that defuse onto Church. Beautiful 1v2 from the castle. He takes those 1v1s well, uses that site setup to his advantage, getting the Goyo canister down, forcing the rotate. Beautifully played from Yuki there. I tell you that it's maybe a little bit more quiet than his teammates during this match, but he really turned up when it mattered the most. 9-5, so still a fantastic performance from all of the players here on Entropy. And a fantastic series, much more one-sided than a lot of people would probably expect. Villains looked so good during those group stages, but Entropy, that veteran spirit, really just showed up when it mattered.
Yeah, in the end, this is a 7-3 score there on Clubhouse, where Entropy already won on Chalet as well with a 7-4 score. So both maps very close to each other in terms of round wins, but Clubhouse even going more in the favor of Entropy, while it was Villains really who needed to fight back there, and in the end didn't quite succeed. So very unfortunate to see Villains go down like this. Of course, they're not fully out of the competition yet. They will be going down to the lower bracket, where they will have another chance. But it's Entropy who proceeds towards the upper brackets finals, where they will be playing against Minions. I believe it's going to be next week. Yeah, the 1st of May. So next week, that is indeed. Is it Monday already? That might just be Monday already. Yeah, that is Monday. That's next Monday.
Yeah, next Monday.
Yeah, so next Monday, they will be playing against Minions. That's going to be a very good match. Of course, Minions still being on that flawless... Am I saying the correct flawless score? Yeah, still on the...
Yeah, they've not dropped them up.
True, the drop one map, or actually was an overtime win, so not a perfect score, but still at least winning everything so far. So yeah, that's gonna be it for today. I mean, for the upcoming match on Monday. But yeah, just let's talk a little bit more about this map for today. Entropy winning 2-0. Kind of as the majority of the community expected. I mean, that's what we saw in our Twitter poll, in our Twitch prediction. And also kind of what you and me were kind of talking about.
Yeah.
Although Villains has been doing very well throughout this competition, winning every single match, now losing their first match for the first time. While Entropy, of course, the last season champion, has already a big title, does have quite a bit more experience than most of the teams here. And yeah, that's another round win to their count.
Yeah, and it's just those attacks from Entropy. It's something that Minions are really going to have to focus on for that match coming up on Monday in terms of VOD review and such. Preparing to deal with those attacks on Entropy that just looked virtually unstoppable. They went, I believe, 8-2, 9-2 on attacking rounds. It was just incredible. They just... Their play was excellent. They get those opening picks well, and then they just play incredibly selflessly. As I was continually saying, they play for the team win rather than for individual stats, which is just really nice to see. It's the sign of a good team that they are willing to just play for trades, play for one-for-one engagements, because they know it will win them rounds. It might not look the best on the scoreboard, but it doesn't matter if you've got potentially not that greatest of stats on the scoreboard. If you're winning rounds, first off, you're going to probably look better anyway if you're winning rounds, but also the match is the thing that matters, not your stats page.
Yeah, indeed, it's just such a good thing for Entropy just be back in that upper bracket final. That's one of the things they really want to achieve and potentially win against Minions. That's going to be a very great match next week. But for now, it's Entropy just proceeding and Villains dropping down towards a lower bracket, where it's just a matter of time for them to wait who the opponent will be. Because Friday it will be Nightwolves versus Penta Sports. Let's just quickly talk about the upcoming maps for now, or upcoming matches for now. Friday we will have Nightwolf Esports versus Penta Sports. That's going to be a very good match as well. Two teams who have been doing very well throughout the competition, and the winner of them will be playing against Villains on the 3rd of May. So that's next week, Wednesday. On the other side of the bracket, a little bit lower, we have Molotov Gang UK versus Empire Esports. That's a match that we will see happen on Sunday. And the interesting thing about that one is that if Molotov Gang UK would win that match, they will proceed towards the lower bracket quarterfinals, where Molotov Gang Germany, the German team, is already also waiting.
Yes.
So yeah, it was something you were already pointing out before when I believe it was you who was pointing this out before. When they were still, both of the teams were...
It was when UK were in the lower bracket, but Molotov Gang Germany were against Mystery,
Yeah,
and if they
it was
lost, they
yeah.
would have gone against each other in the lower bracket. But we still
Yeah.
potentially get that matchup. I really hope
Yes.
that Molotov Gang UK win that,
That will
because
be
that's going to be incredible seeing those two teams fight. But we've still got to win that lower bracket match.
Yeah, that's going to be a very interesting match. So there's two very important matches coming up this week. Friday, of course, like I said, Nibbles versus Penta, and then Sunday, the very interesting one, Molotov Gang UK versus Empire Esports. After we'll be back next week with the upper bracket final on the Monday, and then the lower brackets quarterfinals on the next few days in that week. So yeah, that's it for now. Thank you, people, for guesting with me. It was again an absolute pleasure. I'm happy to have you on board.
Yeah.
And also, of course, all the teams, thank you for participating up to this point, and all the viewers, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this match as much as we did. And for now, I wish everyone a great evening, and I hope to see you all in the next few days. Bye-bye.
Bye.